It's rock and roll!
Greetings, friends. Mark Anthony K here, and I'm going to be here alone doing a segment here for the Look, It's Rock and Roll podcast. And what I'm going to be talking about today is a series of records that I have found, well, not recently, maybe about a year or two ago, that I discovered, and that has really impacted me greatly as far as my pleasure in listening to music. I discovered this series of records through Bandcamp. Now, Bandcamp, for those of you who don't know, is a website where all kinds of bands, whether it's independent or even signed artists, go to and put up mainly their digital versions of their albums for relatively cheap for people to listen to. You can buy them for, sometimes they offer them for free, or sometimes they offer them for several dollars. And sometimes artists, sometimes artists sell vinyl or CD or cassette on their material. So it's a really fantastic platform in where to sell or discover new music. And because there are so many bands and there's so many genres and categories you can search through, really the search is endless as far as discovering new music. And what I'm going to be talking to you about today happened due to one of those deep dive searches. It was actually the record label I discovered. There's a record label out there called RidingEasy Records. They're an American independent record label, and they seem to focus mainly on like psych music, 70s type hard rock. And they released a series, a compilation series, back in 2015. The record label started in 2013, but in 2015, they started a series called the Brown Acid series. Now, the reason why they called it Brown Acid is because one of the guys who runs or who is involved in the compilation, he considers Brown Acid a sort of like a term of which these bands fall under. It's basically what he considers Brown Acid is basically three genres: hard rock, heavy psych, and proto metal. Those three genres of music fall under what he considers Brown Acid. And what's fascinating about this series is that they're discovering bands that maybe have released one single or one record maybe, and were never really heard from again. Really, really, really obscure bands as far as this compilation goes. Now let me show you, because I've collected quite a few of these on vinyl. Now here's the first volume. Okay, this is Brown Acid, the first trip, heavy rock from the American come down era. Now, here's the back. It's very much like those 60s, 70s records where they have a lot of the information on the back along with the titles. Some very 70s-ish photos there as well. Now, I'm going to read you the first paragraph here because I think it kind of describes what they're trying to achieve here in this paragraph. It says, excuse me, after Flower Power and before punk, heavy, hard rock bands dominated the American music scene. In towns across the country, garage bands that had grown up taking drugs, flashing peace signs, and listening to the Beatles had witnessed the atrocities of Vietnam and Altamont, gaining a new perspective in a darker, crunchier, and more bombastic sound in their music. Bands like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Jimi Hendrix Experience, Grand Funk Railroad, and Deep Purple were blasting out of muscle car windows, influencing a new generation of jaded musical amateurs. So basically what they're saying is that the bands that are on here were deeply influenced by that time period. And a lot of the bands on here, the songs that they discovered on here, that they included on here, some of them, they could only find a 7-inch single from it. and could never find the original analog tapes. Some of them they were able to get a hold of the bands and find the original master tapes for, but a lot of these things they were maybe only able to find a cassette copy of or something, and they did a really great job in making this all gel together, because every one of these bands, there's not like there isn't like more than one song from a band on here. There's no, like 3 songs from one band, 2 songs from it. It's just one from each band. And it's really, really cool, the kind of music that you get to. Some of it is decent sounding. Some of it is really lo-fi. Some of it is really crunchy. Some of it is really trippy and effect laden and stuff like that. So you get a lot of different sort of things. Now let me continue to read here, because this might give you some more insight here. It says, some of these ambitious groups earnestly composed some pretty far-out jams. Playing hard and heavy just like the pros, these bands were on par with their heroes, albeit with a much smaller budget and inferior gear. The 45s these bands produced mostly independently were glorified demos given to the record executives or sold for gas money. Generally speaking, a few hundred copies were sold direct to fans at local gigs outside of any kind of distribution. These pressings have since become highly sought after rarities and fetch serious coin when they are offered up for sale. Hence the need to compile some of this material in a series that we're calling Brown Acid. The tunes compiled here come in a time that's been neglected in the compilation realm. The purgatory that lies between garage and punk has caused these gems to go overlooked by closed-minded collectors for far too long. Expand your mind, embrace the bad trip, and follow us down a 2-lane highway into the abyss that is American rock and roll underground circa 1968 to 1979. So that is the time period that you're going to be focusing on in this series. Now, it's up to you if you want to check it out. I'm just really trying to hype it, because I really think that there's a lot of good music here that's been overlooked by people because it just wasn't distributed properly. It just wasn't, these bands just didn't make it past their hometowns, probably, some of these bands. So one thing that's really good I noticed is that you can find this label, RidingEasy. I believe it's at the bottom there. Yeah, right over here is the information. So RidingEasy Records, if you go there on the Bandcamp site, they have all these volumes in there, and I believe they're up to volume 13 now of this. So there's 13 compilation albums out of this series. And the great thing is that when you go and look for these things, they have different variations of these records. They have, first of all, you can get it digital. You can get it on CD. You can get it on cassette, these compilations. And they have on vinyl, and they have various versions. They have black vinyl. They have multiple colors you can buy. Some of them are very small runs. Some of them are bigger runs. The great thing is that you can choose what you want, and you can also buy this in a series. They have 10 volumes in a nice box that you can buy. Looks fantastic. I didn't go that route because I wanted to buy each record individually to absorb it before I went to the next record. So I think that worked for me, and plus I could kind of collect what I wanted color-wise. If I wanted to just get a black color one, I could get that. If I wanted to get if it came in a green, yellow, or red, I could pick whichever one I want. And if you buy the box, I don't think you have a choice. They just give you how it's set up. Some of them, they don't have a set color, but they just put whatever they have available. So if you buy the box and you don't care about what color you get, then it's a great thing to do. But I bought it individually, and you can also buy the box individually now. So that's another great thing. Okay, so let's go through the ones that I have, and I'll go through them really quickly and show you what I got as far as the colors too. So this is volume 1. And when I bought this one, I believe, yes, I got the red vinyl version of it. Now, as you can see, I'm not going to take them all out like this because it's going to take forever and it'll be a very long video. But just to show you, there's that side. Oh, sorry, it's upside down. So this is like a red marble vinyl. And on the other side, they always do this where they put the record label RidingEasy there. There's always sort of an image in there, as you can see. This is very, very 70s influenced as far as graphics as well goes. So that's volume 1. And volume 1 came out with a bang. It was really, really good. Lots of great stuff on this one. Volume 2, the second trip, another really good one. I believe this one I got on black vinyl. Yeah, this is a black vinyl version of it. Now, another thing to make note of, the black vinyl is usually available for $19.99 US plus shipping. Their color vinyl goes from $21.99 up to about $24. Now, the $24.99 ones are usually very small number, like 100 copies, and they might be like hand poured, or they might be like something really special with those ones. So keep your eye, excuse me, if you keep your eye out on that when you go and look for these records. There's different kind of colors and pressings you can find. Okay, so then you have the third trip. This one took me forever to find. They were sold out on vinyl of this one for a very long time, which leads me to believe that it's one of the better ones to pick up. See if I can get in there a little bit closer. Yeah, some really good songs on this one. If you just pause it, you can read there what it says about the bands on there as well. I believe this one I also got was on black vinyl. Yeah, it's on black vinyl as well, because I think that's the only one they did a repress of. It was just the black, so I didn't want to take a chance and wait if they didn't do it again. Then we have the fourth one. This is a really cool one as well. The sort of yellow theme that they have going on here. Some very trippy pictures there again, and I believe this is a green. Yeah, sort of a green, excuse me, a green, sort of solid green color. Excuse me, still got a bit of a sore throat. This is volume 5, the 5th trip. Another really good one. Lots of good songs on this one. This one I got the, oh yes, I got the yellow vinyl pressing of this one. And some of them they might have like a yellow and a black. They'll always have a black, and they'll maybe have 1 or 2 colors. And sometimes if they feel really strong about it, they might make like 3 or 4 different colors of it. This is the 6th trip. This is another really good one. There's some really cool ones on here. There's actually a Toronto band on this one. If you take a look here, the second song there, Heat Exchange, Inferno, 1965, Toronto, Yorkville Records. Yorkville is actually a small town just outside of Toronto. I'm curious to see what they wrote about here, because now when you look at it here, at this point, they started doing individual write-ups on each band that's on there. So if you're interested on what's going on in more detail, it's there. So here it says, we also delved deeper into the depths. Canadians continued to prove that they could bang heads with the best of them. Heat Exchange from Toronto released the rip-roaring Inferno on their Yorkville label way back in '68, and it is still thumping almost 50 years later. Okay, so yeah, so okay, so on here they have it's released in '68. Yeah, 1968. Sorry, I said it was 65, I think, but it's 1968. So lots of different things. One of the great things too I heard about this is that a lot of people discovered bands that they might have heard when they were back in their teenage days and remembered playing around in their local town, and just discovered that these bands, they rediscovered the bands on these compilations that they might have heard years ago in their hometown. So it's great to pick up this series. This one I got on gray, like a steel gun gray vinyl. That brings us up to the 7th trip. Very trippy kind of album cover on that one. There you got, again, some really cool songs on here. Some of them, sometimes they have stuff on here that's really, really hard to find, and sometimes like stuff that they, could, like I said, could only find like a 7-inch single. Like here it says here, Good Times was originally written as a joke, but when Ron Chapman of something else TV show heard it and passed on it. The folks at GPC Records quickly pressed 100 copies. Unfortunately, the evening it was slated to be played on a local radio station, Robert Kennedy was murdered, and the premiere was preempted by a classical music tribute to JFK's slain brother. The song has since been bootlegged numerous times and covered by the Butthole Surfers, but this is the first time ever it has been fully licensed. So there you go. So you have a song on here that could have been a big song had it not been for the assassination of JFK's brother, and the premiere of their single was not done. So there's so many interesting singles like that on these collections. So and this one I got on a red vinyl here. Now I don't have all 13. I'm just going to let you know that already. This is the last of, no, this is not the last, I'm sorry. This is the 8th trip. This is a really good one as well. I listened to this one recently and been listening to this one quite a bit. There's a lot of good tunes on this one. And this one I got on blue vinyl, solid blue. And this is the last of the ones that I've gotten so far. This is the 9th trip. Very cool cover. There you have these songs on there. And this one is on a translucent pink. Yeah. Now, another thing that they did that was really cool that was available a few months ago that I picked up immediately was they did a best of the top 10, the 10 heavy hits volume 1. So they took one off of the first 10 releases, a song off there. So if you're thinking about getting into this and you're not sure if you want to, commit to 10 records or 13 that they are now, you might want to look into getting this because it's kind of like the best of the series. There's a lot of good songs on here. Some of them that you probably recognize from seeing the other ones. So yeah, you might want to pick this one up. This one came out on a really, really interesting white or kind of a yellowish vinyl with splatter in it. And that's all of those. Recently, the 13th volume came out. It's this one here. And it's really good. I'm waiting to pick that one up because I'm still going to be picking up. I'm waiting on number 10. And I'll get obviously 11 and 12 and get 13 as well. I highly recommend this. It's a great series. And to make note as well, if you're interested in this, but you're maybe wanting to get into something a little bit heavier, they started a new series called Scrap Metal. I believe I have a picture of the first cover. It's this here. And that's available also on Bandcamp. And it's also available on their homepage, which is just www.RidingEasyRecords.com. You can go there and you can get this stuff, again, on vinyl, CD, cassette. They ship very quickly. They ship very well. They give you kind of stickers and they'll sometimes send you sample CDs. Great label. I highly recommend it. So that's it for my little expose here on Riding Easy Records. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you take a chance and maybe take a listen to it because there are some really great music on here if you like that kind of music. And again, like I said, if you're into the more heavy metal side of stuff, the Scrap Metal series that's coming out is metal, same kind of thing where it's bands that were overlooked and never had a chance or never did much after their release of their initial singles or album. And it's focused on the 80s. So that might be something you're interested in as well. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed the segment, and I will see you guys all later. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching or listening to this episode. Be sure to subscribe to us, like us, or even leave us a review. You can find us and join the conversation on Facebook.